Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway. Spent a lot of time here. Happy to do so. That's why. Unbelievable choices of outstanding food at reasonable prices with very nice people greeting us. Isn't that good? Are you kidding me? It must be a Monday in New Orleans if you're looking at that. Service with a smile. Food that makes you smile. Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway in Metairie. And a pleasant good evening to you, Ken Trahan of sportsNOLA.com. sportsNOLAtv coming at you one more time. Glad you've joined us. Final Four, Final Two night in New Orleans with the national championship to be decided in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome tonight. We'll have a lot on that. We'll talk about LSU football later on in the show in our hot seat segment. And of course, the Saints and the Voodoo. And to do all of that, among other things, our guest panel. They split the brothers from a different mother up here this evening because we always seem to get the dress code right. This man knows what he's doing. Former New Orleans Saint Torrance Small. Torrance?
Hey, how we doing, Ken? And he did say it right. A man that knows what he's doing. Again, I picked the championship game. Yes, Kentucky and Kansas, and I picked Kentucky to win. You heard it first from me. Jump on board.
And he really did. And he has every right to boast about it because we've got nothing to boast about, basically. Brian Alley Walsh of sportsNOLA.com. As always, a pleasure, my friend. What are you boasting about?
I have nothing to boast about, Kenny. It's always a pleasure to be on with you, with Torrance, and our good friend John Forcade, who's becoming a regular here. And he hadn't picked anything in his life.
That's right. And nobody picked him. No one picked him either. It's incredible. I hate how that happens. Brian, it's great to have you with us. And as Brian alluded to, John Forcade, former New Orleans Saints quarterback, former Ole Miss quarterback, former Archbishop Shaw quarterback, and quarterback of our team here this evening has joined us. John, it's always a pleasure.
Oh, Kenny, it's always a pleasure being here with you and Torrance. And I'm just thrilled to see that you don't have anything growing out of your beard today like you had last time.
He's
There's a lot
coiffed.
of love on this day.
He's neatly coiffed. He's trimmed it. He looks good.
Yeah.
He's all neat. It's
Spring
pretty.
cleaning. Spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning. I'm very impressed with it. I'm just not going to ask you what you cleaned it with, okay? That's all. Torrance is so kind.
Oh, I tell you what, with friends like this, I don't know how I'm going to not make it.
Even Marvin was impressed with your beard, okay? We'll get into that later as well. Of course, we have a lot to talk about here. We mentioned LSU, spring football game. We'll get into that. Of course, the Final Two, and we'll talk about the game extensively. We'll also talk about the New Orleans Saints and free agency and what has happened, including a move that took place earlier today. The Voodoo got a win. You know, they must have played on the road. If that was the case, we'll talk about all of that and more as we continue in just a moment with sportsNOLAtv from Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway in Metairie, here on WHNO, Channel 20.
Toothache.
Gingivitis.
Plaque,
Cavity.
tartar,
Tooth decay?
Gum disease.
Abscess tooth?
What's that?
A filling, not a crown.
A bridge?
You mean I need a root canal?
Come on, man.
The only thing worse than hearing those words is hearing that your dentist can't see you today. Call Louisiana Dental Center, home of the same-day appointment.
For the most informative, diverse sports information in New Orleans and Louisiana, go to sportsNOLA.com. With the top prep sports coverage in the state and comprehensive information on the Saints, LSU, Hornets, the Zephyrs, Voodoo, Tulane, and all Louisiana colleges, sportsNOLA.com features extensive video, audio, and a tremendous number of award-winning journalists whom you can trust for accurate, candid reporting. Make it your homepage. It's a can't-miss daily visit. sportsNOLA.com.
There's a place with more clubs than Bourbon Street, where everyone's always ready for another round.
This is the place to be.
The Zurich Classic of New Orleans is the place to be for a great time, great bands, and great food.
Now this is the place to be.
Check out the Champions Club, the Acme Oyster House, and other venues. Come support children's charities and watch 156 of the world's best golfers. Call now or go to ZurichGolfClassic.com or Andy Rouse's.
This is the place to be.
Great packages start at just $25.
Help celebrate Motorcycle Awareness Month by riding in the Escorted Motorcycle Parade Sunday, April the 15th. Motorcycle lineup begins at Huey P. Long Avenue in Gretna, with the parade proceeding to the Westwego Farmers Market, where the party continues with live music, food, and fun. That's Sunday, April the 15th. For more information, visit macorg.com. That's MACORG.com. Remember, motorcycle safety and awareness begins with you.
Nice new configuration for the Final Four, first time since 2003, and this one is immensely better. Unless, of course, you are a member of the media. That's another story for another day. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv here at Piccadilly Cafeteria in Metairie. We'll talk about the championship game coming up a little bit later. We turn our attention now to the New Orleans Saints and where they are going, who's going there, and what they're going to do. We're still undetermined as of appeals that have been made as of this past weekend, where basically the Saints have appealed everything. Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, Joe Vitt, the fines, everything has been appealed. And Brian, we'll start with you. From the standpoint of what's transpired, I guess we should not be surprised, but I would be surprised if anything changes from Roger Goodell's point of view.
Yeah, I agree with you totally, Kenny. And yeah, no one should be surprised that really it's the right thing to do. I mean, there's no retroactive penalty. If this extends up until Easter Sunday, there's no going to be catch back at the end of the suspension. You know, you're hoping that you've got a sympathetic ear in the commissioner. I don't believe, like you, Kenny, I don't believe it's going to happen, but it does allow them to buy more time to work on the draft, to conduct a little bit more business, free agency, who knows, and anything else that they've got to do for 4 or 5 more days, and that's what you're hoping it'll do.
Perhaps the public discourse, John, has affected the Saints in making this decision to appeal, and that is that many people have been speaking over the past 4 or 5 days about this has been going on forever, and some coaches and former players have basically said that this took place in some form, and maybe the Saints feel like there will be a sympathetic ear because of that?
Well, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. The guy who dished out the punishment is also the same guy who's going to be the guy that tells him if his appeal is going to last. But the fans have a lot to say in this, and you hear all around town what the fans are saying, what's going on with the league. They're always bringing up, well, other teams have done this. Yeah, other teams have done this. We all know that when I played, and everybody else has played in the past. The problem was the lying, the part of lying to the commissioner, lying to the NFL over and over and over with cover-ups. That's the part that the NFL can't let by.
Still waiting on the player rulings, Torrance, and I know you're keenly interested in that. I cannot imagine that the Players Union wouldn't step up and support the Saints players in this situation if they feel the penalties are too harsh. Well,
one thing we do know right now, NFLPA, they already stepped up. They're hiring attorneys just in case some, I guess, civil suit or whatever may come about with these rulings and whatnot. So they've already stepped up to protect the players and whatnot. But my thing is, in this whole thing, let's see some evidence. You know, we're talking about a lot of guys supposedly getting hurt and intentionally trying to injure somebody. Show us on film something out of character in football. That's what I like to see.
And the Players Association has basically asked for evidence from Roger Goodell about the Saints situation to see how they really feel about it. The other element of this is who's going to coach the team. And Brian, we talked about Bill Parcells last week. That remains a viable possibility, a real possibility. Ultimately, can this happen? Will this happen? A Hall of Fame coach, basically, who's waiting to get into the Hall of Fame, would have to defer it. Your thoughts?
Well, let's see. What time is it? Bill's already changed his mind 5 times today. This is the thing. You know, this is Bill's modus operandi, is that, you know, decisions like this, he's always changing his mind. He's waffling. And look, this is a big decision for him. He'll be 71 in August. For him to even take over for a 10-month period, it's a big change in his life. Plus, he's going to forfeit. He's going to push back the clock to be considered for the Hall of Fame. So, you know, it's a big decision for him. I tell you what, I think what's going to happen is I think that somebody on his staff is going to be elevated. That's my opinion. Of course, I also picked Kansas to get beaten in the round of 64.
Well, I mean, my take on this is why bring Bill Parcells? I know he's close-knit with Sean Payton, but I think the real factor is that if you bring above a coach who's on your staff right now and say they do win, Say they do go to the playoffs. Say they were to win the Super Bowl this season. I can see Tom Benson saying, well, hold the phones there. We did it without Sean Payton here. One of these assistant coaches stepped up to the plate. Maybe we'll just keep this guy here for $3 or $4 million and let Sean Payton go. Don't see that happening at all. But that's a thought in somebody's mind right now if that does happen. Bill Parcells, man, he's up there right now, 70 years old. He's going to come in here for 10 months and tell people what to do, and then all of a sudden he leaves out the door. These players aren't going to follow that.
Well, we talked about that. You know, some player coming in from within the system and they turn the team, well, not turn the team around because it's already a great team, but to lead this team to the playoff and hopefully to the Super Bowl, it probably would start something. But my thing, the one thing I do like that you guys shared last week, let's use Parcells as a consultant, not a coach, and maybe he can keep his be able to go into the Hall of Fame a lot earlier. Just bring him as a consultant, just to keep structure, because it's a lot of wheels that goes on into this organization, and I think he could just keep structure, let the coaches coach, and he just make sure everything is right, make sure he knows talent and whatnot. So I think he'll be great with that.
Much has been made about the fact that the Saints' appeal is all about buying some time. Maybe there's some validity to that, but then again, maybe not. Sean Payton was in North Louisiana on Friday night for a fundraiser for Andrew Whitworth. He was at Jimmy Buffett in concert Sunday night. We can show you him there. Here's Jimmy Buffett, appropriately attired with a very popular shirt these days. And who was playing the bongos for him? Well, it was Sean Payton. And he was playing the bongos, and some people say maybe he should keep his day job in the process. And that's, listen, there's no fault for Sean Payton living his life. In fact, to the contrary, I commend him for living his life. At the same time, Brian, that indicates to me that they know what they want to do. Their plan is in place. Don't you agree? Obviously, if it wasn't, he'd be at this 24/7 and invisible.
I agree totally. And that's why, you know, anybody that knows Sean Payton and how he runs his football operations, this man, there's no I that isn't dotted or T that isn't crossed. He knows. He's got a plan. He's got a plan, and it may change depending on what comes out of New York. But I think they already have a great idea that nothing's going to change come Tuesday or come when the decision is finally handed down by the judge and jury, Roger Goodell.
I really think that's what this is all about, John. I think they're waiting to see if any appeals go through, in particular Joe Vitt and his appeal. Because if Vitt gets his appeal reduced, I believe Joe Vitt is going to be the interim head coach.
Well, if it gets reduced, I'm sure it'll be reduced a couple of games. If it gets reduced a couple of games, then who's going to be the guy to run it for a couple of weeks? And he wants Joe Vitt there. But let's just be honest, folks. You know doggone well, whoever's in there, there are going to be meetings with Sean Payton at the Dairy Queen down the street or at, Burger King drive-thru, wherever it may be, Piccadilly, wherever it may be. You can't tell me these people won't talk, won't run into each other, and things will be said and done. What are you going to have, a PI on Sean Payton every day of the week for a whole year? It ain't going to happen. Sean Payton will still coach his football team from underground.
Yeah, now that's the one thing we don't know. The one thing we don't know what the ruling really means. Can he contact players? Is he allowed to talk? Is he allowed to talk to them while the game is going on? We don't know those things. That's something that we need to find out as well.
Free agency continues to move down the road, and speaking of moving down the road, another Saints player has moved up the road to St. Louis. As of today, Jolan Dunbar is a St. Louis Ram. Let's take a look at the free agent situation surrounding the New Orleans Saints, and that includes Dunbar moving on to go to the Rams. No doubt Greg Williams had an impact in that decision. We know about Colston returning, Meacham leaving, Nix leaving, Tracy Porter leaving. Brian, no real surprise with Dunbar after they signed the outstanding linebacker from the Falcons.
No, I agree, and one of my early posts in free agency was I thought the Saints should do everything in their power to try and keep Jolan Dunbar because I thought it was because of his versatility. But when they started signing a couple linebackers like Lofton and Chamberlain, it kind of was a handwriting on the wall that Jolan would probably move on and perhaps even to St. Louis like he did.
And Broderick Bunkley, similarly.
Right, and Bunkley
we probably won't see Rodgers or Franklin back, John.
Right.
Well, I think truly believe it. They're looking for some defensive tackles who can step in, get more production. And what they had last season with those guys that they had last season, I think it's not over. I think they'll find someone else possibly before the draft comes around.
And I still think they ought to try to bring Torrance back, in my opinion. Torrance?
Yes, veteran guy, been around a while. A guy that can accept this role and go out and perform when asked.
And do it inexpensively. I mean, I think you can get a guy like that at the right price. And to me, you've got a dime guy that can prove to you that he can play in your system and play solidly, even though you've got a different coordinator. I think he's worth bringing back. I really do.
And somebody, if someone to go down, you can trust this guy to come in and play.
You really can. We'll take a time out here. When we return in just a moment, we'll take a look at the Voodoo winning a game. That's right, winning a game, among other things. Still to come, our hot seat about LSU football right here on Sports NOLA TV.
Hi, I'm J.R. Teagues, head baseball coach of the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. I would like to personally invite you to the J.R. Teagues baseball camp right here at beautiful Alumni Field. For more camp information, visit our website at jrteaguesbaseballcamp.com or simply call the number below. I hope to see you at the pack.
Lions Baseball is supported by Louisiana's First Choice Auto Auction, located in SLU's hometown, Hammond, Louisiana. Louisiana's First Choice Auto Auction is a dealer-only auction. Go Lions!
Tired of dentures that don't fit properly? Our implants change everything. Your implant dentures will literally snap into place, so you can take a bite out of life again. Louisiana Dental Center. We'll see you today.
John Mapes is 42. Mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
Our Sports NOLA TV trivia question of the evening. What is the total margin of victory in the 4 previous NCAA championship games played in the Superdome? Multiple choice, 6, 9, 11, 16. All of these games have been unbelievably close, dramatic as can be. I was there. I remember vividly. I'm not too old yet to forget. And let's hope that tonight's game is of the same ilk. We'll have the answer for you a bit later. Ken Trahan, Sports NOLA TV, Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway in Metairie. We've talked about the Saints and free agency and what they've done so far. Brian, is there any other position on this football team that the Saints could or should attack in free agency?
I would say tight end would be a position, Kenny, that they wanted to address in this time frame.
Because of the health of Thomas?
Yeah, I think so. You know, that they've wanted to take a look at that position, and I think once this bounty gate kind of it gets some resolution, they'll may turn it to free agency and look for a veteran.
Don't you think we're getting an indication of where this bounty gate business is going already with what they've done in free agency?
Yeah, and you know, I still think that they've got to restructure some contracts. I think they're still, when the players' sanctions come down, they'll have a much clearer understanding. You know, obviously it's not going to be 22 to 27 players that are disciplined. We talked about that last week, but even if you have 5, 6 guys that might receive some disciplinary action, they may not all be on this team either.
No,
you know?
John, they've got to know who these guys are. You know, they know who's being looked at and who could be sanctioned, correct?
Well, we all know Jonathan Vilma's the main guy they're looking at first, and then it's going to trickle down effect. And like Brian, they made a comment. There might be some players who aren't on this football club anymore. The Saints, go about your business. We'll bring someone else in. But to talk about whether the players the Saints need to go after, I truly believe they got to go get them a safety or free safety to help that secondary. You know, You know, Roman Harper and Jenkins did not play or have a great season last year. I think they need to go get somebody else back there to help those guys.
Boy, that's an understatement. Torrance, any position that you think they should still address?
Yes. The one thing I think, and it'll help out a lot of the other people, especially in the passing game, is a pass rusher. We need a dominant pass rusher. We don't have anybody that demands a double team, somebody that can help free somebody up, somebody that can make other people on that defense better. And I think a great pass rusher can do that.
Boy, those guys are hard to find, Brian.
Well, and I tell you what, I think bringing in Spagnuolo may offset, because they don't have the money to go get a pass rusher, and a young guy's not going to be the answer. So what they've got to do is with Spagnuolo, okay, he's going to have to scheme, and this is his MOT, he can get a conventional pass rush with 4 guys as opposed to bringing the house like Greg Williams did, and that's the way they need to go.
But you're still going to need some type of talent.
I agree.
The guys, you know, with the guys we have, you know, you can scheme all you want. I just don't think we have great pass rush. Now, we've been pretty good against run stop, but when it comes to pass rushing, if you want to help those cornerbacks out and where we're weak at safety, if you want to help those guys out, get a good rush and probably as well get a push up that middle as well. Make that quarterback move a little bit.
Malcolm Jenkins and Roman Harper did not have an interception.
No.
They're safeties in the NFL.
Exactly.
And I don't care if they tackled pretty well at times or if they made a few plays in terms of hits. Safeties in the NFL to go through an entire season without an interception is unacceptable in this league today, in particular on a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl, John.
Yes.
I totally agree with that. And you look at all the film on the defense last season, and Brian said Spagnuolo comes in with his 4-man up front. He wants to do it with the 4 guys up front. And I agree, you need to have somebody pass rush. But the secondary, you cannot have no interceptions as your safeties. They can't really cover one-on-one as well. So you're going to find some schemes now right there. They got to start using these safeties in other areas besides just come run blocking and blitzing.
One more point on that, Brian, and then also to follow up on the Jets. And did they bring in Tebow to run Wildcat, or did they bring him in to possibly be their starting quarterback ultimately?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. But had they played Forcade, an opposing quarterback, those safeties would have had an interception last season. Now, in getting to the Tebow question in New York,
just been
in getting to the question, John, you know I love you, my friend.
You can hit him now.
You know what? I tell you what. We talked about this kind of off air. You know, I agree with you. I can see where you're coming with that point, Kenny, but, you know, they just extended Sanchez 2 more years. They gave him more money up front. So I'm not saying that isn't maybe down the road, but I don't know. It's hard to read.
I get it, but they didn't know Tebow was available then.
Yeah.
And not only that, they cut their backup quarterback, for goodness sakes.
Didn't they have Smith as the Wildcat guy a couple years ago?
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything with that. They didn't win the Super Bowl. So what's Tim Tebow going to do? Come in and run just a Wildcat?
No. He's there to be a quarterback, possibly a starter eventually.
Now, I understand. True, he's probably there to do some Wildcat and whatnot. But like you say, eventually, I do think he's going to be the starter at one point. But you got to find out who's the offensive coordinator now.
Yeah, Tony Sparano.
Tony Sparano. And where did the Wildcat is?
Sure.
He the one that brought it into Miami. He's the one brought it in. He's the guy that's up there now, and I think they're going to run.
Schottenheimer wanted to throw the ball more. They wouldn't let him. They're always going to run the ball.
Miami ran that Wildcat with Sparano years ago, and it had done well the last 3 years. So why bring it back now?
Because players because now I have me a player that can give me a lot more to it, a lot more versatile to it. Because now I can throw the ball out of that thing a lot better than I did when I had my running backs running.
The New Orleans Voodoo went on the road, which it seems like where they need to be to have a chance to win a game, and they beat a very good Utah team in Salt Lake City, 72-57. Kurt Rocco was brilliant. 9 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He ran for a 10 score. The guy got sacked 4 times, was hit all night, banged up like you wouldn't believe, kept getting up and making play after play in a tremendous effort. And the defense forced 7 turnovers. Alvin Ray Jackson, 3 interceptions. He's a terrific football player.
And we can bring him on?
This was a very good win, Brian. It's a better football team, as I've been saying from day one, and a better coach team than a year ago.
Yeah, I just think they need to schedule about 14 games on the road.
There you go.
And leave 4 at home. But you're right. Is this the same team that committed 15 penalties a week earlier? Mm-hmm. And then they turn in this kind of effort? Congratulations.
Brian, have you been to a Voodoo game yet?
I've watched them on television, Johnny.
Yes. You need to go with me sometime and enjoy the atmosphere of watching.
It's very good, right?
Indoor game is fun. John, you were part of it for a long time.
Yeah, I know all about it. Tell you what, these guys, like Kenny had mentioned off the air, They got better quality players, better coaching staff, people out there. Come watch this team, support them. They're a good football team to go out and watch. It's very entertaining.
Shameless, shameless. He's trying to buy partnership in the team. That's what this is all about.
I got $1.50. What'd that get me?
And a cell phone.
I'll see what I can find out. I'll have my people talk with your people.
Yes. But points. The Arena Bowl is all about putting up points. If you can put up points, hey, you give yourself an opportunity to win, and that's something they've been doing lately.
Yeah, they played very well. And I'll tell you, one of the things that bothered me about the game had nothing to do with the voodoo. When you pull up to Energy Solutions Arena and they went back to the retro Jazz logo, it really bothered me, okay? It's the New Orleans Jazz logo with Utah Jazz on it. I was fine with it. I didn't like the fact that they kept the name. I thought that was ridiculous. At the same time, the fact that they changed their logo for many, many years was cool. Now they've gone back to the original logo. That drove me nuts.
Yeah, I don't. There must be the expiration time on that patent or something like that. The Jazz. I agree with you. You know, that's one of those great names. That belongs in New Orleans. I don't care what anybody.
I told you, he's on our show.
Yeah,
they need to rename the team, and if they can find a way to get the Jazz back. I don't pay them a few bucks in Utah to give up the Jazz. Let them be the Utah Hornets.
No, it's the Beehive State.
Yeah.
And their baseball team was called the Salt Lake Buzz. Now they're the Salt Lake Bees. Why don't they just make a straight switch?
That's
the Salt
That's
Lake
a great
Hornets.
thing. I agree.
I mean,
Jazz has nothing to do with Utah.
Kenny, remember?
Exactly.
Yes,
Sam
Jazz has nothing to do with Utah.
Jazz out to Utah.
Not a thing to do with Utah. Kind of like the Lakers of Los Angeles, where there are no lakes. The land of 10,000 lakes, Minneapolis. Come on, man. Come on, man. When we return in just a moment, Brian Ellie Walsh is on the hot seat about LSU, and will they throw the ball more? Brian, we'll talk about that when Sports NOLA TV continues.
camp.com or simply call the number below. I hope to see you at the pack.
Lions Baseball is supported by Louisiana's First Choice Auto Auction, located in SLU's hometown, Hammond, Louisiana. Louisiana's First Choice Auto Auction is a dealer-only auction. Go Lions!
Are you completely worn out and still can't sleep? Well, it could very well be a mineral deficiency. Don't believe me? Consider this. Two-time Nobel Prize winner Dr. Linus Pauling told Congress that every ailment, every sickness, and every disease can be traced back to an organic mineral deficiency. So let me introduce you to Mineral Concentrate, a fulvic acid trace mineral product that cannot be purchased in stores, only by calling 800-965-2345 or going to mhclife.com. And what makes Mineral Concentrate different from other mineral products? It's the presence of fulvic acid, which has been referred to in the scientific community as the miracle molecule because it is the element that allows nutrients to be absorbed by the cell. It's not magic, it's science, so give it a try. There's a money-back guarantee, and a 90-day supply of Mineral Concentrate is yours for just $29.95, and shipping is free. So call 1-800-965-2345 or go to mhclife.com today.
Help celebrate Motorcycle Awareness Month by riding in the Escorted Motorcycle Parade, Sunday, April the 15th. Motorcycle lineup begins at Huey P. Long Avenue in Gretna, with the parade proceeding to the Westwego Farmers Market, where the party continues with live music, food, and fun. That's Sunday, April the 15th. For more information, visit macorg.com. That's MACORG.com. Remember, motorcycle safety and awareness begins with you.
During the break.
Our trivia question of the evening: what is the total margin of victory in the 4 previous NCAA championship games played in the Superdome? 6, 9, 11, or 16? I know the answer. Do you? And here it is. There you go. 11 points. And there are the margins. If you go back and remember Michigan, the timeout that didn't happen. And then, of course, you look at 97, the 93 game, the 2003 game. Wow. Unbelievable. So the Michael Jordan game was the 1-point game, as we alluded to, in 1982. And the 17-footer, Keith Smart, shot in there as well. We could go on and on. Amazing games held in New Orleans at the Final Four. Ken Trahan, Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway in Metairie. The food's great, the company's better, and we are always happy to be here at Piccadilly Cafeteria. And we're always happy to put Brian Ellie Walsh on the hot seat Everything's served piping hot here at Piccadilly, so why not serve up Brian steaming as well over this topic? Will LSU throw the football more in 2012? Brian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kenny, as always. Yeah, they're going to throw the ball more. I think what they did in the BCS game against Alabama would suggest that they need to throw the ball more. Of course, as this dais has alluded to many, many times, is that we put that loss on the coaching staff more than the players. That said, with Zach Mettenberger in there, 6'5", he's got a good, strong arm. They've got decent receivers. I still like the running back by committee approach, but you know what? We were talking off air. If they throw 25 times a game, that should open it up. So I think they should. With Mettenberger, he's got the arm. Let's open it up a little bit, but don't forget LSU football in the SEC. Run first, pass second.
Well, my whole take on this, Brian, is the fact that will Les Miles let them throw the football? Les Miles lets them throw the football. This kid can throw the football. He's got a great arm. They brought him in here to be a quarterback to throw, not to run the football. He's 6'5", 240, 250 in that range. He is a throwing quarterback. Well said. Does a line protect him enough to throw? They got a good defense. They got to throw the football to win championships. And I think SEC football might be a little different, but if they can throw 25, 26 times a game, I think they'll win and do well throwing the football.
Yes, I think they need to throw the ball more. But let's understand what throwing the ball means. It doesn't mean just drop back and just throw it down the field all the time. It means just spread it out a little bit. Throw nice, safe throws for the guy. Don't put him out there on the island where he has to throw the ball deep all the time and has to get those third and longs. You have a great running game. You have 5, probably 6 good running backs at this school. So you run it back by committee. And I think we need to run the ball, a lot of play action passing, and I think play action passing will be great for them, especially for him in his confidence since he's a young quarterback coming up. Play action pass, let him open up, start it off slow. I guess against some of those weaker teams, let him throw a little bit more, get him prepped and get him ready for the SEC games.
I agree partly with you, T. But when you've got a wide receiver core, and you should appreciate the people that are out there catching the passes. You've got Beckham, you've got Shepard, you've got a guy Landry, okay, that apparently, all right, is the second coming of a good Torrance Small, perhaps. You've got to use those people. If that means getting vertical, get vertical, okay? Yeah. You know this better, John, you guys know this better than Kenny and I anyway. You open up, the best way to open up a running game is what? Stretch the field.
Well, let's look at it. Well, I don't think they're going to have to open up a running game. Everybody know LSU runs the ball very well. If you're not up there,
boy, they sure did against Alabama, didn't they?
No, at that time they did, and that's the time they should throw the ball. Believe me, they would have 8-man fronts up there until Mecklenburg showed that he could throw the ball down the field. Now you take what they give, and that's going to be on Les Miles. Will he do that? That's the thing. You said it. You alluded to it earlier. Will he take what they give?
Yeah, throwing the football, like you said, it's not necessarily throwing the bombs out, but you can't come into the championship game and throw quick screens behind the line of scrimmage. I like it 15-yard, 10-yard, 12-yard. It didn't go deep at times. Spread it vertically deep. Get it out there. But they have got to throw the football against every team, not just when you think he's behind. You got to throw like you did against Alabama in a championship game at the end of the game. Throw the football on a regular basis.
Yes. You have to show you have capability.
Time for a judgment here, guys. Here it is. And Torrance talked about they should throw the ball more, but that's not the question. The question is, will they throw the ball more? And the evidence to me still suggests that they won't do so very much. They might increase it in small fashion. They are not going to increase it in substantial fashion. Not when you have the offensive line that they have, as John alluded to, that's experienced, and that's a good run blocking line. Not when you have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 legitimate Division I running backs who could start for a lot of different teams. None of them are great running backs. All of them are good running backs, including Jeremy Hill, who joins the fray this year, along with the likes of Blue and Ware and Hilliard and company. It's ridiculous the wealth of talent they have, but you can only play 1 at a time. And to play 3 or 4 is a stretch. To play 5 would be, I think, a little bit much and a bit ridiculous. But they'll try to do so to keep people happy. Let me read these numbers real quick. Mettenberger, 14 of 25, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jordan Jefferson's numbers last spring game as a senior, 4 for 14, no touchdowns, and an interception. Let me read this quote from Les Miles after the scrimmage on Saturday. I think the ability to throw the football is better. It just appears to me there's a little more juice in the ball, a little bit more ability. And on Mettenberger, he is, quote, really improved. You talk about firing a shot across the bow at your previous quarterbacks. I think he's done that. He's also attested to the ability of Mettenberger as to why he should throw the ball a bit more. And by the way, if he does throw it a little bit more and he has some success in doing so, then the critics will be running rampant as to why this guy didn't get on the field last year, considering their lack of a passing game for much of the year, even though they went 13-0 before losing a game. It is time now for our Marvelous Minute with Marvelous Marvin LeBlanc. This is where we inspire you each and every week and give you some good advice for living right, living smart, living confidently, and expressing confidence in all that you do. Go to marvinleblanc.com/TV and find out how you can be that person. With that, here's my friend Marvin LeBlanc.
Thank you, Kenny. Today, let's take a memory lane, a walk down memory lane, actually, to 1985. That was the first year that the NCAA Final Four went to a 64-man tournament. The year before, it was 53. And by the way, Ken, I think you'd appreciate a guy named Raleigh Massimino who comes into town. The Villanova Wildcats were playing Georgetown, pulls the upset, wins 66-64. Why? Because they happened to shoot 22 of 28. And then old Raleigh went into what? The four corners. Well, today's message is the four corners of character. If you want to cinch victory in the workplace, there's got to be four things we have to talk about, small business leaders. Number one, yeah, if you heard it before, it's called attitude. Really, tell us something else, Marvin. What else do we need more than attitude? How about work ethic is number two? And number three, resilience. Well, why do we need resilience? Well, John, it doesn't always go exactly like you plan it. Matter of fact, you should spend more time on plan B than you do plan A. And then finally, the fourth corner is belief in the mission. So if you're a small business leader and you don't believe in what you're doing, I'm asking you, what are you doing? Because if you're not working harder on the project of you than anything else, it's not going to work out for you. So if you're looking for marvelous performance in the workplace, perhaps your team needs to discuss looking at some four corners so that you can cinch your own victory. Maybe it's time to go to marvinleblanc.com. Right there, great prices, great product, come hella high sales, and also come hella high water. Life lessons from Hurricane Katrina. Remember, it was the Wildcats in 1985. Ken, it's going to be the Wildcats tonight, baby. Back to you.
Way to go, Marvin. And I'll say this, I'm happy that we don't have the four corners to talk about anymore in college basketball. Thank goodness we came into the 20th century before that century ended and played real basketball with a time clock, because that was ridiculous. I'll never forget, it was a UNO basketball game that changed college basketball. The Sun Belt Conference Championship game in the 78-79 season, when it was South Alabama going to a stall against UNO and playing a 22-20 game to stop UNO from scoring. The Privateers won with the likes of Wayne Cooper, who played in the NBA for 15 years, and Ardith Warren and company. And that changed the landscape of college basketball, a 22-20 game. Thank goodness it changed. Thank goodness it was a New Orleans team, the University of New Orleans, that helped get that rule changed. When we return in just a moment, we'll take a look at the Hornets and we'll make our picks and review the championship game between Kentucky and Kansas. Marvin's already made his pick. You'll hear ours when we return in just a moment here at Piccadilly Cafeteria in Metairie.
Toothache.
Gingivitis.
Plaque. Cavity.
Tartar.
Tooth decay.
Gum disease.
Abscess tooth?
What's that?
A filling.
Not a crown.
A bridge?
You mean I need a root canal?
Come on, man.
The only thing worse than hearing those words is hearing that your dentist can't see you today. Call Louisiana Dental Center, home of the same-day appointment.
There's a place with more clubs than Bourbon Street, where everyone's always ready for another round.
This is the place to be.
The Zurich Classic of New Orleans is the place to be for a great time, great bands, and great food.
Now this is the place to be.
Check out the Champions Club, the Acme Oyster House, and other venues. Come support children's charities and watch 156 of the world's best golfers. Call now or go to ZurichGolfClassic.com or Andy Rouse's.
This is the place to be.
Great packages start at just $25.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now, and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
Call 1-800-764-1178 and we'll send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
LaCie Broadcasting and Sports NOLA were both involved in Final Four week here in New Orleans. For the third straight year, LaCie Global, Feed the Hungry, and Samaritan's Feet were the charities of choice for NCAA's Final Four Community Days. Leading up to the weekend tournament, the NCAA, in partnership with Samaritan's Feet and Feed the Hungry, gave back to communities across New Orleans. Coaches, players, and hundreds of volunteers participated in giving away 2,012 pairs of sneakers and 2,012 family food boxes in 4 city locations, culminating with Martin Luther King Jr. Charter School in the lower 9th Ward. At Final Four Friday, sportsNOLA.com hosted a tweet-up allowing basketball fans both inside and outside the Superdome to interact with the Sports NOLA staff and Southeastern head coach Jim Yarbrough. Feed the Hungry Executive Director Stefan Ramdick accepted a check from Jackie Carper of the NCAA at the Final Four Friday. And we were proud to be part of that and proud to be part of a wonderful outreach through LaCie Broadcasting and Feed the Hungry and, of course, Pete Summerall and company. And I know that they enjoyed reaching out here in the New Orleans community. Ken Trahan with you. Sports NOLA TV continues coming at you. And, of course, it's NCAA Championship night, all those events leading up to the event tonight between Kansas and Kentucky. Let's see how they got here as we look at results from the semifinals in the Superdome. And it was the Kentucky Wildcats taking down their state brethren, the Louisville Cardinals, 69-61. Anthony Davis with a dominant performance, 18 points, 14 boards, and of course the 5 blocks as well. Louisville had rallied to tie the game at 49, and then Kentucky ran off an 11-2 run to take over. The Wildcats shot 57%, largely because they shot quite a few layups and dunked the ball quite a bit and won the game by 8 over Rick Pitino's Louisville Cardinals. And in the nightcap, Ohio State led almost the entire game except when it mattered most, as the Jayhawks of Kansas rallied to win over the Buckeyes, 64-62. Thomas Robinson, 19 points, 8 rebounds. Kansas overcame a 13-point deficit by doing it in the paint, blocking shots and scoring inside, which Ohio State had trouble doing. So clearly, the two teams that were dominant inside dominated these performances to get to the championship game, the Battle of the Blue. It's UK, it's KU. Brian, the two winningest programs in the history of the United States in college basketball, the Jayhawks and the Wildcats, and yet another team that wears blue will win a national championship. That makes every year since the last Final Four in New Orleans that a team wearing blue has won the national championship. And of course, that streak started after Syracuse won here in 2003 in New Orleans. So these programs going at it, you covering the Final Four, your take on the semifinal games and what to expect in the championship game.
I think a team with blue is going to win.
Very good.
I've said that all along. Now, you're talking about a person who picked Kansas to go out in the round of 64, Kenny. You're also talking to a person who picked Kentucky to win it all. So I've hit both sides of the spectrum. You know, I'm hoping that it's a great game. We showed statistics there that I think is why I'm picking with UK tonight. They're the most efficient team in college basketball. They shoot above 50% for games. Their transition basketball was outstanding. They put pressure on for 40 minutes, and this is why I like them. I like them to win by 8 or 9 points.
John, as you look at some of those numbers, look at the blocks per game. both significant, and of course the bottom number most significant. These teams are 1 and 2 in the nation in field goal percentage defense. They defend, John. When you can stop people from scoring, you're going to win.
Well, there's no doubt the teams they've played so far, Louisville had trouble getting the ball inside against the powerful Kentucky team. I think Kentucky's just got too many stud athletes. They're all freshmen or sophomores, and you'll see them all going after this season. As far as Kansas, their big men too shut down the guys that were trying to get in from Ohio State. So it's going to be a big battle inside. You got 2 outstanding ball players. You got Robinson and you got Davis, both of them 6'11", 6'10" guys. So I'm looking at the SEC bringing it home.
Oh yeah. Now one thing you have to do to be able to beat Kansas, you have to slow them down in transition. Nobody runs the court like, not Kansas, but Kentucky, I'm sorry. But nobody runs the floor like the Cats. The Cats get up the floor. I mean, a routine miss, if those guards are not getting back to protect the goal, they are running. If you look at the film on those guys, you might have 1 or 2 down there. They got 4 running down there. They're always running the floor, and that's the one thing that gives them the big advantage.
I like Kentucky to win the game. Of course, I picked them, as Brian did, to win the national championship before it started, and I certainly have seen nothing to change my thought process regarding that. And based upon the way they've played, they're a solid pick to win. Can Kansas win? Yes. Here's how they can win. 2 things. Number 1, all of the pressure, the onus is clearly on Kentucky. Everyone expects them to win. The expectations in Lexington are incredible. They're unrealistic. They are an absolute weight just weighing down John Calipari, who's not won a national championship yet, despite the fact that he's been very, very close, most recently with Memphis against Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks when they basically blew it. Couldn't make free throws down the stretch, and then Mario Chalmers pulled off the miracle, and Kansas won the game. Of course, he led a team to a Final Four, did Calipari at UMass as well. But here's how Kansas can win the game. Kentucky feels the pressure. Kansas has nothing to lose. They're playing with absolute looseness at this stage. Nothing is going to bother them. No one expects them to win. They understand that dynamic. They got beat by Kentucky by 10 earlier this year. That's also in play. Of course, every rematch game in the semifinals went to the team that won the first time as well. The other way Kansas can win is foul trouble for Kentucky, in particular with Davis. If they can get him in foul trouble in the first half, take him out of the game, as we've seen on one occasion in the NCAA tournament, then Kentucky becomes a bit vulnerable. But typically speaking, when it comes to the NCAA championship game, the officials will let you play more. And if that happens, then foul trouble probably won't be as big of a factor, Brian.
Yeah, I agree. And neither team has a very deep bench, so if you do get a team in foul trouble, it certainly would help the other club as well. The oddity here is that we're probably looking at the top 2 picks of the upcoming draft in Anthony Davis and Thomas Robinson.
Has played very well. His stock has gone up. Sullinger's maybe took a hit in that semifinal game.
Yes, I agree with you totally. Absolutely.
Torrance, I think clearly that took place.
Yeah, Robinson has a very good, feel-good story. If you guys heard about his mother and his grandparents, and now it's just him and his sister, and the school really rallied behind him to help him and his sister. I think is a great thing. So he has a lot of motivation.
Point guards have a lot to do with basketball on the college level. John and Teague has played solidly, but they don't need him as much as Kansas needs Taylor. Taylor has to play well or Kansas has no chance.
Yeah, Taylor started off this season on a slow pace, and he picked himself up. The way Kansas goes tonight will be through their guard scenario, because they got to shut down Kentucky's guards, and Taylor's got to play a heck of a ball game, but he's playing against 5 great players from Kentucky.
Well, speaking of point guards, the New Orleans Hornets have Jarrett Jack. They've got Gravis Vasquez. They have a couple of guys that have played respectable to pretty good at times this year in the midst of what has been a very difficult season for the New Orleans Hornets. Of course, in the midst of a 5-game road trip that they just completed because of the NCAA Final Four, they had to leave town much like they do for Mardi Gras. And on the trip, they got beat in a revenge game by the Clippers, who came out smoking to beat the Hornets, and they extracted a bit of revenge, taking a shot at Trevor Ariza in that game for the shot that Jason Smith took on Blake Griffin in New Orleans, and the Clippers won 97-85. Chris Paul had a ridiculously good game. Are you surprised? And then the Hornets went out and whipped the Warriors of Golden State by 15. Marco Bellinelli had 22. Jarrett Jack had 20. Jason Smith, of course. The Hornets doing a very good job in that game, offsetting Lee's 28 points. David Lee played well, but it was the Hornets playing much better. They shot 54% to win. Portland held off the Hornets 99-93. LaMarcus Aldridge was a beast in that game. Marco Bellinelli tied a career high with 27. Carl Landry had 24. Blazers had that 10-1 run in the final 3 minutes to win the game. We've seen that script a lot this year for the Hornets. Tied or ahead in the fourth quarter and cannot hold it. And then Kobe Bryant missed his first 15 shots, but he made the one that counted in the Lakers down most of the way. Came back and beat the Hornets out at Staples Center, 88-85. Bryant with the go-ahead three-pointer to put them ahead to stay with 20 seconds left. And then the road trip concluded. The Hornets were punchless, scoring just 77 against Phoenix. Steve Nash had 14 assists, the ageless wonder. Does anybody ever play the game that understood how to create and identify people in the right place and giving them a chance to score better than Steve Nash does? I don't think anyone's ever done that better than he has in this league. Chris Johnson, a concussion. They just got Ione back from his wife giving birth. They just got Kaman back from injury. And they just can't keep people on the floor, Brian. It's unbelievable with the guys that they've had missed games this year.
It's been a season to forget. Kenny, they've got 13 games left, and we'll see what happens. You know, they were 1-4 on this road trip. The last time they went on a 5-game road trip, they were 3-2. So you know, it's just this road trip speaks volumes and is kind of a microcosm of the way their season is gone.
It's unheard of, John, that an NBA team dresses 8 or 9 players like they've been doing on this road trip.
Yeah, you see college teams play, 8 or 9 players, but in pros you got to play much more of that. When's Eric Gordon coming back? Hey, it's April 1st.
He might play. He might play. Hey, they're
go.
1 game behind Washington for the second worst record. Don't you kind of hope they lose, Terrence?
It's one of those catch-22. We hope they lose, but we want them to win. Play competitive ball. Keep being competitive, guys. You're out there, you're working hard. We love that. Monty Williams, big ups to you. You're doing a great job with what you have. You are doing a great job because you're doing a lot with a little patch-up.
When we return in just a moment, we'll take a look at high school baseball on WHNO-TV as well as our college baseball preview as sportsNOLAtv continues from Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway in Metairie.
If you're living with diabetes and have Medicare or private insurance, here is some great news. Call United States Medical Supply today, and we'll send you the smallest glucose meter in the world, absolutely free. So small, it fits right on the bottle of strips.
It only takes a speck of blood, and it gives me my results in 5 seconds. I can even test it on my arm.
And there's no coding for easier, more accurate results.
And if you call now, we'll also send you this stylish full-featured meter at no charge. That's 2 free meters. You can keep one in your pocket and leave the other one at home.
You can even hook it up to your computer so your doctor can track your results.
United States Medical Supply also delivers prescription medication right to my door, so I don't have to go to the drugstore anymore.
Don't let diabetes get in the way of living. Give us a call today at United States Medical Supply and get the smallest meter in the world for free. Call today.
Who looks better, bald Milo or Milo with hair? What about this guy, bald Torrance or Torrance with hair? If you think that you'd look and feel better with hair, now you can do something about it. Introducing the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss. You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. To find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So what are you waiting for? Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 1-866-790-4247. That's 1-866-790-4247.
Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway in Metairie. You can call 454-6271, and you can destroy the red beans and rice and sausage. You can get the outstanding lemon pepper chicken that I got today. You can get the Monterey chicken that Lenny Van Gilder got. You can get the outstanding fried fish that they offer each and every day. Of course, the salad bar is great. The desserts are unbelievable at Piccadilly Cafeteria, 2222 South Clearview Parkway in Metairie. We encourage you to support Piccadilly and check out, encourage, and come see the first NBC Prep Baseball Showcase. Our next 2 games here on WHNO. Brother Martin taking on Rummel. That game to be shown next Monday night, April 9th at 8 p.m. It's being played live this coming Wednesday night at Kershrooney, expecting a huge crowd for that one. And then the Rummel Raiders and the Jesuit Blue Jays on Monday, April 16th at 8 p.m. on a game that's being played on April 13th as well. And those are the next 2 games on the first NBC Prep Baseball Showcase as we bring you the best in prep baseball here on WHNO Channel 20. Ken Trahan, along with our great panel of guests, and we talk baseball now, high school baseball, of course, marching on in district play now, and we're starting to find out who's good and who's not, and we look forward to finding out as much as we can. And then with college baseball, LSU off of a great weekend, sweeping 4th-ranked Arkansas up to number 12 in the nation in Baseball America. Tulane won 2 out of 3 from Memphis, at Memphis this past week. And Brian, this was a big series win for LSU, not just to win the series, but to sweep and move into a tie for first in the SEC West.
Absolutely incredible. They did it with runs on Friday night, and they did it with great defense and pitching and clutch hitting on Saturday and Sunday.
And the
Throws them
Tigers
right back into the race.
get Louisiana College, then a huge series at number 1 Florida this weekend. Speaking of Florida, John, Ole Miss just beat Florida 2 out of 3.
Yeah, that's a big win for those guys up there in Rebel Land. They've always played them tough. SEC baseball, you know as well as I do, it's like the basketball. It's just wait till toward the end of the season. There's so many good teams in the SEC in baseball, and I'm very fortunate to say I'm a Rebel.
Great to see Tulane win a series at Memphis to open Conference USA play Torrance, and now, of course, they face the real test.
Real test coming up for you guys. I hope you guys are ready. You have Alcorn State, and that is Alcorn State. You have Wednesday at your home stadium. I will be there. Hope you'll be there and hope you're ready.
Brian, I heard they've not made the official call yet, but that they're going to ask him to throw out the 4th pitch.
Well, he'll never make it to home plate, I promise you. And plus, on the record, I've given him 5 runs. Tulane will beat them by at least 5 runs Wednesday at the stadium.
I'm glad we have this on camera. Here's a guy that does not pay
up on his debt.
He does not pay up on his debt.
I opened up a can of worms there.
He does not pay up on his debt. Can I have somebody to collect for me, please?
I understand. Southeastern lost 2 out of 3 against Lamar. Delgado lost 2 out of 3 in tough games at Eunice against LSU. Eunice, a national power, but a very good program for Joe Sherman's team there as well.
And Franklin split last week, 1-1.
That's Franklin High School. That's in Franklin, Louisiana, right?
High School
oh, Ben Franklin High School.
East in 1-zip.
Yeah.
We lose to EJ 4-2 in the best baseball Franklin's played this year.
Ben Franklin.
You haven't been there the last couple
Ben Franklin.
games,
You got to get the school name right.
Well, you know what?
Because there is a Franklin High.
Well, yeah, but I know everybody knows Franklin here in New Orleans. But I have to sit out tonight's game against St. Aug at Kershrooney because I'm going to work for the website tonight.
That's Franklin will win. That's I mean, they'll win the game. It's hands down. They're going to win the game. It goes without saying. Brian, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Kenny. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, buddy. Good to see you, Torrance.
All right.
Brother, you always get it right with the dress code. And as always, we thank you for watching sportsNOLAtv and look forward to joining you once again next week. Until next time, Ken Trahan, God bless you one and all. Rounding third and heading home. So long.